This is after the math workshops. This is on page 34. Do we need to make a tabby for it? So we can find it. Alright, get sticky notes out of your tower, cut them in half and share. Let's make a tabby. Alright, so my unit 5 was all the way down at the bottom. So I'm going to start my unit 6 up here at the top. Can you please stop talking while I'm talking? Thank you. I went 3 grids in. And then I'm going to fold it so it's 3 grids in on the back. And then do I tape it down on the back?
Yes.
You do tape it down on the back. Could you also tape it to the front? You could, so that it stays in there and you don't lose your place. And then what are we going to write on the spine of it?
Unit 6.
Trey, unless you were talking about how to make a tabby, please stop talking. Tomorrow, I'll be checking that homework on 6.1 Part 2, so I would make sure that you watch the video. Okay. Are we ready? Alright, first thing we need to do on this page, we have to make some changes. This is what happens when you use notes from someone else and don't proofread. Yes. Okay?
I need those papers.
It's from the 4th. Alright, so these 3 should be right here. And this should actually say angles instead of sides. I know. And this should say sides instead of angles. I know, I'm so upset. On the 4th. Baby, just keep flipping. Yes. We got them all at the same time. We're going to need 6 of them. I know. It's not pretty now. I'm very sorry. But the top one should be sides. How about you stop being that? Okay? Thanks. And this one's angles. Did you get them all? Okay. So our learning target for today, which you would think by now I would leave us a space for learning targets, but oh well. It says, I can recognize. Move back. Move back. I keep hearing your voice. And I keep having to tell you to stop. Move back. Thank you. I can recognize and apply the properties of parallelograms. So that's what we're going to be learning about today. Now, we talked about polygons on Thursday, Friday, and y'all worked on that worksheet, and you did pretty well on it from what I saw when I was pulling them out of the tray on Monday. And then I don't know what y'all did yesterday. Y'all didn't get your work done? Awesome. You did? Good. Alright, so today we're going to talk about a specific kind of polygon, which is a parallelogram. How many sides does a parallelogram have? 4 sides, which means it's called a what?
Quadrilateral.
A quadrilateral. Take a point.
Oh, I didn't even know if I was right or not. Okay.
Alright, it's a quadrilateral with 2 pairs of parallel sides. It's called a parallelogram for a reason.
There you go.
Now, we can look at and classify a parallelogram 3 different ways. By its sides, by its angles, by its diagonals. You got your notebook open, right? Can I see? Thank you. There's just only a little bit of faith left. Mazzaro, I don't need your help. Thank you. We can do it by its sides, by its angles, and by its diagonals, and we're going to apply those today. Now, with its sides, its pairs of opposite sides are parallel. And remember, for them to be parallel, we put the little arrows. Boom. That's it. If it looks like that, it's no. These 2 are parallel. That's why we put 1 set of arrows. And these 2 are parallel. That's why we put 2.
You have to put the arrow.
Yes. That's how we mark that they're parallel.
Oh, so it's only a quadrilateral if 2 pairs are parallel.
It's only a parallelogram
Oh.
if opposite sides are parallel. So a quadrilateral is any shape with 4 sides, right? And this is a specific type of quadrilateral.
Parallelogram.
Yep.
So it's only a pair. Okay, I got it.
Okay. All right. Now, its pairs of opposite sides are congruent. So what do we use to mark congruent sides? The tickies, the dashes. Good. Take a point. Also, Gryffindor, I think y'all are out of number strips, so you'll have to use a sticky note. That's you. So, if its opposite sides are parallel, it's parallelogram, and if its opposite sides are congruent, it's parallelogram. Ta-da! It's crazy. Alright, now are we ready to look at angles, or do we need a mo?
Angles.
Angles! Alright, so its pairs of opposite angles are congruent. So what did we use to mark that angles were congruent? Rainbows. Good. Take a point. So if this one is congruent, if this one, ham sandwich. If this one has 1 rainbow, where's the other rainbow going to go?
The other side. Right.
Can we use words like top right and bottom right? Okay, so it's going to go top right. There we go. Good. Take a point, children. Alright, so how would I mark the other one? Would I use 1 rainbow or 2?
2.
Okay, and what's going to be congruent to that top left?
Bottom right. No, bottom right.
Bottom right. Good. See how directions are super helpful?
I don't know
we
why.
just don't follow something. That's bad. You didn't learn from the
I never know. Alright, so it's pairs of opposite angles are congruent, and then it's consecutive angles are supplementary. Who remembers what consecutive means?
They're like across the same thing. Like
Close. Close.
like
They're right beside each other.
They're right beside each other. Good. Take a point. So like these two on the bottom are right beside each other. They're right next to each other. So that's consecutive. Now what does supplementary mean?
they add up to 180.
Add up to 180. Good. Take a point. So that means that if this was 30 degrees, what would this angle right here have to be? The bottom right angle. No, guys. Listen to what we just said. Good. Take a point. 150. Because they have to add up to equal what? They have to add up to equal 180. So we said that opposite angles are congruent. These two are not opposite. They're consecutive. So you would do 180 minus 30, and that would give you 150. Now, what would the top right angle be? 30. And what would the top left be? 150. Awesome.
Okay.
Now, did you notice that this is the same thing over again? Proofread, Asbury. Proofread.
You gonna do that one?
Well, it should say something completely different.
Compliment. Oh,
It says, if there is one right angle they are all right angles. And we're going to pretend that our parallelogram has right angles, okay? We're going to pretend with our little brains. Alright, so the reason is, if this is 90, that means that the opposite angle has to be congruent, right? So what's the opposite angle supposed to be? 90. And if they're supplementary, what's 180 minus 90? 90. So we have all right angles. So far, so good? So opposite sides have to be what?
Supplementary.
Opposite sides have to be?
Parallel.
Nakia, tell me again. Parallel. Good. Take a point. What else has to be true about opposite sides? Congruent. Good. Take a point. Opposite angles have to be what? Congruent. Good. Take a point. And consecutive angles have to be supplementary. Good. Take a point. And if there's one right angle, they're all right angles. Now, let's talk about the diagonals. What does it mean for it to have a diagonal? What is a diagonal?
like a diagonal?
Like
That's an arrow.
What's that mean?
Oh,
Like
it's
draw,
this.
tell me a direction. Tell me a
It's like
direction.
this. It go like
Tell me a direction. On here, tell me a direction.
Up and down.
the top left
Top left to the
to the bottom right.
to the bottom right. Good. And then I'm also going to go from the
Bottom left to the top right.
good. Now what does this say? The diagonals what?
Bisect each other.
All right. And what does they cut in half? Good. Take a point. So that means that this one, this half down here, is going to be congruent to that half. So we use one ticky. How many tickies would we use on the other? Two. Because it doesn't say that they're congruent to each other, does it? It just says that they bisect each other. So they cut in half, they meet in the middle. And then it tells us that its diagonals form two congruent triangles. So if I draw a diagonal like this, that means that this triangle up here is going to be congruent to this triangle down here. So this triangle, my top triangle, is congruent to my bottom triangle. Ish.
I like it.
The triangle proofs were good. With the angle side angle.
I like the other one.
The algebraic ones?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I don't know why I just like writing all the numbers and like.
Yeah.
It makes you feel smart.
Okay.
That got on my
Are we ready to apply this?
All thing I know is
Alright, go to the next page. 37B. Let's do this.
I had a funny problem.
What, darling?
They come with problems.
I need to go get my water.
Crazy.
Over there.
Are you serious? Come on now. Alright, so it says to find the following. Now, this is a parallelogram. And why do we know that it's a parallelogram? Because opposite sides are what?
Parallel.
Parallel. Good. So if they're parallel, that means the opposite sides are also congruent. So AB is going to be equal to CD. So what does that mean its length is? 10. 10 what?
Centimeters.
Good. I don't know what you said, to be honest. Alright, what about BC? What's going to be the length of BC?
14.
Good. Do you think you could do number 2 without me?
No.
Yes, you can. Do number 2 without me. Do we know for sure this is a parallelogram?
Yes.
How do we know? Opposite sides are parallel. Good. Alright, so now apply the angle part. If you need to look back at what it says about angles, look back at what it says about angles. Look back at what it says, baby. Just flip back over. You can do this, Tyler. I have all the faith in you. Alright, what is the measure of angle C?
110.
110. How do we know that it's 110 degrees?
They're diagonal.
It's right
Like
in your face.
this.
Because all the stuff y'all muttering at me, it's opposite of angle A, right? Okay. And that means that they're congruent because it's a parallelogram. Alright, what about angle B?
70.
Because you do 180 minus 110. And what's angle D?
70.
If 2 people at your table got it right, take a point.
Oh, did I get right? 1, 2,
Say 15.
If everybody got it right, take 2 points.
Did I get right? Did you get it right? Oh, good.
Did you just call him Ogre?
That's his name.
That is not his name.
What's his name?
You tell me what his name is.
Oh, girl. You gotta drag the R. So it's ogre.
Harrison.
No. It's Gerson, but you pronounce the G with an H.
Oh, Harrison.
Not person. Yes, that's close, guys. You're doing a, yes, that works. Oh my gosh, no.
Ogre was more easy.
Ogre was more easier. And it just recorded all of that, and I love that's in our video for today. Number 3, here we go. Oh, number 3. How do you think we would find W? Because we have to find that first before we find the length of the sides.
You have to set them equal.
Why do you set them equal to each other?
Because they're parallel.
I'm so proud. Because they're
Congruent.
so proud.
Why can't you say they like terms? Yeah, they like terms.
Right, but that's not why we set them equal to each other. Also, Aubrey, I heard you say that as well, so take a point.
Can I take a point?
Yes. And you did too. Take a point.
I said it twice.
All these lies. Alright, so what we're going to do, opposite sides are congruent because opposite sides are parallel. We're assuming that it's parallelogram. So we're going to take this and we're going to set it equal to each other. So we're going to do 4W plus 8 equals 5W plus 1. Alright, now what are we going to do from here?
Subtract 8.
Ooh, I'm going to move my 4W first so I get my W by itself. So we would subtract 4W and we would get 8 equals W plus 1. And then what would humana.
Subtract the 1.
Thank you. And what does W equal? 7.
Oh, I didn't do the plus.
Pardon?
Nope.
So how would we find DC? If W is 7, how would we find the length of this side right here? We would plug in the 7. Good. So you would plug 7 in here, and you would plug 7 in here. Now we want to do it to both sides so that we make sure we solve this right. Don't just assume that they're congruent. Plug it in, make sure you did it right. So what's 4 times 7?
28.
And what's 28 plus 8?
36.
Good. Alright, what's 5 times 7? 35. And what's 35 plus 1?
36.
Alright, those are congruent. We did that right. Great job.
Oh. I think I had it.
What is it, Taylor? Are you sure? Mazera, do you want me to walk through it one more time? Okay, so the first thing we did was we took our opposite sides and we set them equal to each other because they're parallel. And so opposite sides of parallelograms are congruent. That means that you set them equal. Then we subtracted 4W, we subtracted 1, and we got W equals 7. Don't set these equal to each other. Those of you working ahead, don't set these equal to each other.
Oh, dang it.
Alright, then you plug in 7 for W because you want to find the length of the side. So you plug in 7. We did 4 times 7 is 28. 28 plus 8 gave us 36. And then 5 times 7 is 35. 35 plus 1 gave us 36. Taylor, are you on your phone? Do I need to come get your phone? Can you put it away? Thank you. Alright, now, angle E and angle F are not congruent, but what are they? They're consecutive, which means they're also supplementary. Now, make sure you pay attention to that. Look at the stuff about your angles. It says opposite angles are congruent, not angles that are side by side. Angles that are side by side are supplementary. So what would we do with these two angles? We would add them together and set it equal to 180. Good.
I'm done.
So we would do 9Z minus 12 plus 3Z equals 180. You're not dumb, don't say that.
You gotta finish.
You know the way up you're going to get water.
Yes. Alright, now, do we combine like terms?
Yes.
Okay, what's 9Z plus 3Z?
Well,
Keep calling my name.
Alright, then what do we do? You add 12. Please stop. And then, and Z equals 192 divided by 12 is 16. Well, then, baby, make sure you plugged it in right. 9Z plus 3Z. Alright, so we have 16 here. Now, how are we going to find what the measure of these angles are?
Plug it in.
Plug it in. What are we going to plug in?
16.
16 for Z. Can you do that without me?
yeah.
Alright, don't yell it out. Just plug it in. Give everybody like 2 minutes to work it out.
Oh, they're not.
Right, they're not going to be equal. Put something in its place.
Like I know. I just bought it.
Oh my
Talk to it. But no, we listen to you. I just put my finger. Be like, hello?
Okay. What's the answer for angle E?
132.
And what's the answer for angle F?
48.
Fantastic. Take a point.
We're being really smart today.
Add 25. You ain't saying nothing, so.
Do I really have to say something? Alright, are we ready for number 4? We only have 2 problems left, guys. You have to watch that video and do the homework. If you did that, then you're done.
Oh, yeah.
What is this?
Hey, take it.
You gotta write this date down.
Did you watch the video?
You want to go to this?
Right. So you're not done at 2:46. Come on, Tater. Alright, so this says to solve for x. It tells us that NV, which is this little part down here,
I've got trouble reading
it says that NV is 16. So if this part is 16, what is this other half up here going to be?
that.
Because it bisects. And it tells us that TV equals 2x plus 8. Now, what do we know the whole length of TV is?
2x plus 8. No, we don't.
Also, it tells us that, but what else? What's 16 plus 16?
32.
32. So what are we going to do with 2x plus 8?
Add 32. No, I really don't.
16.
Okay, everybody stop, breathe. Yes, we're going to set it equal to what?
32.
Good, take a point. We're going to set it equal, no baby, you was saying, you set it equal to 32. Now, it tells us that TV, which is this whole thing, is 2x plus 8, and that this half is 16. Well, we know if one half is 16, the other half also has to be 16. So you just add them together and set it equal. Now, what would I do from here?
Subtract 8.
And what's 32 minus 8?
12. 24.
And what does x equal? 12. Good. Take a point.
Forgot 11.
Okay, they're reading this point. We got 682 points.
No, I've been good.
You keep yelling out right numbers until you get right.
No, I don't. I've been thinking right. I've been good today.
You have been. All right, number 5. It says determine the coordinates of the intersection of the diagonals. Now, what do you think we need to do with this one first?
Draw something.
We need to draw something. Should we draw it maybe on a piece of graph paper?
See, we got graph paper.
And isn't our notebook in graph paper?
Yeah.
What?
No, it's in my paper.
Look at us go. Well, some of us have it on graph paper.
I got graph paper. I don't want to do it. Ooh, I thought you were saying about the drywall. Ew. She had the pen like in her credit right here.
There is something wrong with you two. Alright, 37C. Number 5. Alright, so what I want us to do first is I want us to draw our coordinate plane.
So draw, please.
No, baby. Draw the coordinate plane, the X and Y axis.
Oh, a T.
It's recording.
Yeah.
Okay, stop. Breathe. Alright, so we're going to plot our points now. Point F is at negative 2, 4. So we go left 2, up 1, 2, 3, 4. Are you serious, guys? I went left 2, up 4. Like, hold the phone.
I don't know.
Alright, point G is at 3, 5. So I'm going to go right 3, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Point H is at negative, it's at 2, negative 3. I got excited. So go right 2, down 1, 2, 3. And point J is at negative 3, negative 4. So you go left 1, 2, 3, down 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can make your parallelogram. It's magic. Oh my gosh. Stop. Alright, so now it asks us to determine the coordinates of the intersection of the diagonal. So what should we draw? The diagonals. Thank you. So what are we going to connect F with?
G. No, H.
We're drawing a diagonal, guys. So what are we going to connect it with?
H.
H. Good. Alright, what are we going to connect G with? Now, do we know exactly where those 2 points cross? We don't know exactly where they cross. We can see that they cross right here, but we don't know where that coordinate is, do we?
0 and
It's like a half and then a point.
plus
0.1.
So,
0.5.
what do we know about the diagonals?
They're congruent.
The diagonals are not congruent.
They're supplementary.
They bisect each other, which means they what? Which means they meet in the middle. And haven't we found the midpoint before?
Yeah.
And in case you've forgotten the midpoint formula, it's this right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the midpoint of each diagonal, and we're going to make sure that they're the same thing. It's super easy.
And then if they are, then we just write yeah.
And then we just circle it.
QED.
Amen. Alright, so we're going to start by finding the midpoint of FH. So it's these 2 coordinates right here, this diagonal. So what's my x1 of FH? Negative 2 plus what? What's my x2?
Plus 2.
You go to your other point down here.
Never mind. Sorry.
Divided by 2. Alright, and then what's my y1?
4.
And then what's my y2?
Negative 3.
Negative 3. Okay, what is negative 2 plus 2? And what's 0 divided by 2? 0. Okay, what's 4 plus negative 3? 1. So that's 1/2. So far we have 0, 1/2.
Who was wrong?
I didn't say you were wrong. It wasn't negative, though.
And then I said 0.5.
And then I laughed at you.
But I was right.
I didn't say that you were wrong.
That difference is okay, John?
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Arrow. Alright, so now let's find the midpoint of GJ.
That's a tongue twister.
Alright, so what is my first coordinate, what's my x1 of GJ? Plus negative 3 divided by 2. And then what's my y1?
5.
And remember, we're getting these numbers from our coordinates. So all we're doing is starting here. This is my x1, y1. This is my x2, y2. So in case you're confused on where we're getting the numbers from, that's where they're coming from. Alright, so 5 plus what? What's my y2? Negative 4. Good. Alright, what's 3 plus negative 3? And what's 0 divided by 2?
0.
Good. What's 5 plus a negative 4? And what's 1 divided by 2? Dun, 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 dun. 0, 1/2 is our midpoint.
That's fine.
Downstairs.
If
No.
you didn't have the little drop thing.
Take a point.
Your grid?
Yeah. No.
It's not very
Go back
great.
in. Like you don't have to go where G makes the G.
Uh-huh.
It's still gonna be the same. Well, you could. It's already one.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I was down there.
Alright, so now your homework right now, which you're going to start, is to go back and watch the video on this. So you need to get on your YouTube or your Google Classroom and watch the video on this. Does everybody understand? Because your homework is on the back of this, and it tells you in the video what to do for your homework. And then turn it